Aquaman is very powerful, what drives him comes from a very human place.
Ever wonder why Jason Momoa was cast as Arthur in Aquaman when the character in comics had blonde hair and was Caucasian? We're about to uncover this hidden mystery and discover some hidden behind-the-scenes facts about the 2018 film Aquaman.
The tuna ship's been marinating in chum butter. I'm gonna come out smelling like blood rot.
Just in time for the release of its sequel, which is just around the corner. Find out how some of the underwater scenes were in reality shot without a single drop of water and discover some hidden references within the film. So brace yourselves for an epic underwater journey. Starting off with the lead role of the movie, the legendary Jason Momoa playing Arthur Curry. But why was Momoa in fact chosen when the comic character of Arthur had no resemblance to him? On top of that, the character actually matched Momoa's co-star Patrick Wilson. But here's the scoop. Executive producer Zack Snyder wanted to break the barrier of not having mixed-race heroes. He had his heart set on Momoa to play the lead, and we can all say he made the perfect choice. And if that's not the perfect reason to cast him, here's a bit that would win your hearts. Did you know that Momoa has been a fan of the underwater world ever since he was a little kid? That's right, he grew up in a world of superheroes, but one in particular really fascinated him. Can you guess who? None other than the lord of the underwater realm, Aquaman. So when he plays the role in the 2018 movie, it's like all the pieces fell right into place. Now, let's hear from the director's chair. Did you know that the legendary Peter Jackson, the genius behind the Lord of the Rings trilogy, turned down the opportunity to direct Aquaman not once, but twice? Yep, that's simply because he's just not a fan of the comic book genre. We can never know how Jackson would have brought the underwater world to life, but even still the director's chair did not go straight to James Wan. Offers were made to Jeff Nichols and Noam Murrow, but fate had already chosen Wan, and certainly this talented director did an amazing job bringing this comic to life.
I get to present Aquaman to the world in this really badass and cool way.
And while we're discussing the film's crew, guess what? The dazzling Nicole Kidman was quick to dive into the role of Atlanna in Aquaman the moment James Wan described the character as a mermaid warrior. Can you picture it? But here's some more exciting information. Before becoming Atlanna, Kidman was on the radar for the role of Queen Hippolyta in Wonder Woman. Though the role eventually went to the amazing Connie Nielsen, Kidman surely has a thing for playing powerful warrior queens. Jumping onto some fascinating scenes from the film, do you remember the scene where an octopus is playing drums while a battle goes on? Meet Topo, Aquaman's melodious, 8-armed buddy from the comics of the 50s and 60s. But wait till you hear where its inspiration came from. James Wan, the genius behind the camera, initially hesitated about including this character, thinking it might make the movie too silly. But a fiery guitar solo from Mad Max Fury Road sparked the inspiration he needed. Thanks to that, fans got to witness this unforgettable underwater concert. Rock on, Topo. But here's something that could have happened but sadly didn't. How would you have felt if Batman made a cameo appearance in the film? Pretty cool, right? During the Atlantean invasion scene, one of the fight sequences involved Batman flying in on his jet to rescue Sydney. But due to some unknown reasons, this storyboard was cut last minute. We bet you can't help but wonder now how that might have looked. Did you ever think that the villain Black Manta had way too less of screen time? Though he might seem a bit on the sidelines in the 2018 Aquaman, he originally had a major spotlight. But guess what? When early viewers got a taste, they felt the movie was just too stuffed with characters. So James Wan tuned it down a bit, letting the Ocean Master shine as the lead villain. However, word is Black Manta is all set to make a bigger appearance in the upcoming sequel. But hold up. On the note of our grand villain, the Ocean Master, casting him has a story behind it as well. The big antagonist in Aquaman was masterfully portrayed by Patrick Wilson. Now, if he seems familiar with a James Wan movie, that's because the duo previously haunted our nights with Insidious and The Conjuring. But here's a twist. Before Wilson grabbed the role, the spotlight was almost on Karl Urban, the same guy who starred in Dredd and Thor Ragnarok. Talk about some hidden changes in casting. It might surprise you to find out that none of the film scenes were actually shot underwater. That's right. So then how did they create such a realistic effect? Director Wan had a brilliant trick up his sleeve: harnesses. Instead of getting drenched, the actors swam mid-air, smoothly gliding as if underwater by being harnessed onto large tuning forks. But the magic didn't stop there. In the editing room, special attention was given to tiny details, especially the hair movements. Computer-generated effects were used to add water and make the movement seem real. It's these behind-the-scenes secrets that make the oceanic world come alive on screen. Now guess what?
We have never seen this on screen. That's the truth.
The actual script behind Aquaman is definitely a whirlpool. Why? Because it had multiple scripts. Warner Brothers asked two writers, Will Beall from Gangster Squad and Kurt Johnstad of 300, to each write their own script. They also brought in David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick from The Walking Dead to add his touch. But who would win out of these talented writers? In the end, it was Beall's version, spiced up by Johnson McGoldrick, that made the cut. A bit of a jumble, but sometimes mixing things up gives the best results. On top of that, did you know that Amber Heard, who plays Mera in the film, nearly rejected the role? Shocked, right? The idea of playing what seemed like a cliched love interest for Aquaman didn't really match with Heard's type. She voiced her concerns with Entertainment Weekly, saying the role felt archetypal and kind of limited because she felt like it was a stereotypical role. Big oops for the writers. But then there was a twist of fate. Heard felt a connection to Mera when she found out what a fierce warrior she was, and then she just couldn't say no. We can't imagine Aquaman without her Mera, and that's exactly why she's back for the sequel even after such controversy over her defamation suit. Sometimes the best roles come out of a little hesitation at first. Here's another interesting tidbit. If you're a fan of DC superheroes, you must have seen the 2017 Justice League, where we were first introduced to the world of Atlantis. Do you remember the way Mera communicated with Aquaman in the movie? She summoned a ridiculous-looking air bubble around them. Director James Wan came to the rescue, calming fans on Twitter and through interviews. Instead of bubbly bursts, they used a neat trick, something similar to sound waves flowing from the characters' mouths. Thanks to this creative spin, the film's underwater chats flow smoothly, making every conversation a deep-sea delight. But there's more from the unique underwater world you need to know. Guess what? While most actors undergo combat training and sword fighting for period and action films, Momoa had to, wait for it, undergo trident training. That's right. The ancient weapon of the Greek god of the sea Poseidon had to be carried perfectly to capture the essence of Aquaman, so Jason Momoa trained for months along with his stuntmen to master the art. Because the trident is just no normal weapon that everyone can fight with. And there's more that Jason did to play his part just right. When Jason Momoa learned that Aquaman's dad would play a big part in the movie, he had a special request. Cast Temuera Morrison for the role. Why? Because Momoa looks up to Morrison big time. Though many know Morrison for donning Jango Fett's helmet in the Star Wars saga, his true rise to stardom began with the powerful Once Were Warriors. It's like a reunion of titans under the sea, two powerhouses, one epic film. Get ready for a behind-the-scenes story that will leave you shocked. Remember that heart-pounding scene where Kidman's Atlana fiercely battles Atlantean soldiers in her home? Not only was it a dance of deadly choreography, but here's the twist. It was filmed in a single shot. Stunt mastermind John Valera spilled the beans to Men's Health, saying that was one shot, one scene, one take, in a whirlwind of action. But hold up, did you know that there was a chance that the DC Flash movie might have taken our incredible director James Wan? Well, that nearly happened. When DC first approached Wan, they gave him a choice between directing Flash and Aquaman. But guess what? Wan chose Aquaman. He had a different approach to taking in new challenges. Wan knew that Flash had a huge fan base already, but Aquaman was like the underdog, so turning this story into a big hit would be the real challenge, and we can see how he was successful in that. And if you think that's all Aquaman has to offer, think again. The sequel to the 2018 movie is set to release in December of 2023, titled Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Word has it features some stellar new costumes for our hero, along with some brand new action with Black Manta in the spotlight. So get ready to dive into Atlantis once again. If you enjoyed watching today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more. See you all very soon with our next behind-the-scenes adventure.
After 4.5 months of stunt training 6 days a week, you feel pretty superhuman.